Hi and welcome to lecture 9. In this lecture we'll finally get to integrate Rails with httparty. So step 1, we're going to open up a gem file and include httparty, and actually we're going to specify the exact version 0.13.5 to avoid any confusion of a version changing later on. Then we're going to shut down the server. We're going to run bundle to pull that gem and install it if it needs to be installed from the web. And you're going to see something like this where it says install httparty if you haven't installed it yet on your machine. And this is actually one of those few occasions that you actually have to restart the server. Shut it down, run bundler, or run bundler and then shut it down and then start it again for the changes to take effect, because the gems actually get loaded in when the server starts up. So if your server is already running, it's not going to recognize this change that you made in your gem file. And the idea is that we want to show courses from Coursera based on the search term. So let's go ahead and generate a courses controller. So that's just Rails G controller, courses with an action, let's call it index. And what that's going to do is going to put a line like this into your routes.rb file, which basically means when you hit the courses/index in your browser is going to request that information from your Rails app, which is going to know to go to the courses controller and your index action. And now we're going to have a model. So we could actually just create a new file called coursera.rb in the models folder, which is located under the app folder of your application. And we could just paste in the example from a httparty integration, httparty lecture earlier. The difference being is that in this case we're not actually requiring httparty because the bundler already loads that gem in for us when the application starts up, so that's great. And the convention actually is that the controllers are named plural. That's why you see here it's courses controller, which creates a courses plural controller, but the model is singular. And the reason, I guess the way I always remember it, is that a model corresponds to one row usually in your database. So each instance of a model corresponds to one row in the database, and the controller controls all the instances really. So the controllers are named plural and the model is named singular. Okay, so this you guys have seen before. Is just pulling the courses out of Coursera Web Services. Now back to the controller. In the index action, we're going to have a search term, which for now we're just going to assume JHU. And then we're going to pass that search term as a parameter into a for class method. So Coursera.for, pass it the search term, and you get an array of courses. So the instance variables that are going to be available are going to be the search term, which what did you search for, and the courses, which is what did you find, the array of courses that you found. And now in the view, which is the index.html.rb, we're going to have some HTML. Again, if HTML is not familiar to you, you should really check out the course 4, which covers HTML, which is going to have a table element here in our view, which basically has one row of headings for image, name, and description of courses. And then we're going to have the courses, and for each one of them we're going to have a course passed into our block. And then we're going to close that here. We're going to have an end, and as you could see, these guys are just evaluators. They don't have the equals, so they're not actually outputting anything. And then for each row in our courses array, for each element in our courses array, we're going to have a row. We're going to have a tr element, which is a row, and we're going to have 3 columns. We're going to have an image tag. So image tag is actually another Rails helper, similar to link to. Link to generates an a tag. Image tag, as you probably could guess, generates an img tag. And this takes the source attribute, which is basically where am I pulling this image from. So we're going to pull it from a course small icon. So course, each one of the elements here is just a hash, so it's an array of hashes. So course, pull out the small icon, you get the image tag, pull out the name of the course, and then pull out the short description of the course, and you get something like this when you go to courses/index. Hooray! So we are searching for JHU, we get this table with an image, name, and short description. Now, the application is functional. It's not necessarily very pretty, but we'll try to fix that in the next lecture. So the summary: by convention, controller names are plural, model names are singular, and files under app directory are automatically required. So a few slides back, if you saw, we didn't have to even require the Coursera class because it automatically gets included in our code. What's next? Making minor but useful improvements to our application.